Introduction. In Lesson 4 we learned about Jesus' teaching not to judge others and how to live with tolerance, forgiveness and compassion, so we can understand the principle of cause and effect when judging others. Today we move on to learning about God's teaching on unconditional love, shown through one of the most famous parables, the Good Samaritan, Luke chapter 10 verses 25 through 37. Jesus told this story to answer the question, "Who is my neighbor?" Through the story of a man who was robbed and badly beaten, left behind by the priest and the Levite, but then helped by a Samaritan, someone despised by the Jews, Jesus shows that love and kindness can cross every boundary. True love is shown by helping those in need, without looking for personal gain and without limits. A neighbor is not just someone of the same ethnicity or religion, but anyone who needs our compassion. Let's step into this lesson together to discover the meaning of unconditional love and learn how to live with love and kindness in our everyday lives. Lesson 5 focuses on the Good Samaritan, one of Jesus' most well-known parables, showing us how to live with love and kindness. Let's look at the background of this teaching. On one occasion, an expert in the law stood up to test Jesus. He asked, "Teacher, what must I do to inherit eternal life?" Jesus replied, "What is written in the law? How do you understand it?" He answered, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself." Jesus replied, "You have answered correctly. Do this and you will live." But he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, "And who is my neighbor?" Jesus answered with the parable of the Good Samaritan. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, beat him and went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man he passed by on the other side. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. He went to him and bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave them to the innkeeper. He said, "Look after him, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you may have." Jesus asked, "Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers?" The expert in the law replied, "The one who had mercy on him." Jesus told him, "Go and do likewise." The parable of the Good Samaritan carries a deep meaning. It teaches us to break down prejudice, overcome indifference and actively help those in need, without discrimination based on wealth, ethnicity, skin color, religion, nationality, political views, or social status. Love is shown through real actions, not just words. And we understand that a neighbor is not defined by ethnicity or religion, but by anyone who needs help, without seeking personal gain and without distinction between friend or enemy. Jesus calls us to rise above prejudice and indifference, to actively love and care for those in need, just as the Good Samaritan did. He said, "Go and do the same." The parable Jesus told is timeless, still speaking to us today. The priest and the Levite represent indifference, putting rules and personal interests above compassion. The Samaritan represents love and practical action, willing to overcome prejudice to help. The wounded man represents those who are weak and forgotten in society. The parable of the Good Samaritan speaks directly to the realities of our busy, pressure-filled lives. It shows a practical way to heal social relationships, break down barriers in an increasingly closed world, and build a culture of connection, of brotherhood, neighborly love, and humanity, turning compassion into real acts of kindness. The parable reminds us to pause and notice the pain of others, overcoming indifference and selfishness, instead of ignoring it like the priest or the Levite. It could mean listening to a friend who is struggling emotionally, or helping a stranger who has been hurt in an accident on the street. What moral lesson can we learn from the story of the Good Samaritan? Have you ever taken time to reflect deeply on the story of the Good Samaritan that Jesus told? One person shared, "When my 81-year-old father fell on the sidewalk, a kind stranger called me and stayed with him until the ambulance arrived." An elderly man was walking down the street when he was violently robbed. Passing by were religious men, including a young pastor and a wealthy church deacon. But the one who stopped to help the old man was a dark-skinned Palestinian taxi driver, who had been reading an Arabic newspaper before he saw the elderly victim being attacked. Helping requires real action, not just empathy but also the sacrifice of time, effort, and money. This is shown through charity and volunteering to meet the practical needs of the poor, the homeless, or those affected by natural disasters such as floods and earthquakes. Recognizing the value of every person, helping others is not only about physical relief but also about respecting their dignity and healing wounds to their self-worth. It is an act of kindness that plants love regardless of differences. Within a family, caring for and helping loved ones is the foundation of happiness. This is shown through simple actions like sharing household chores, spending time talking, taking care of health, and showing love. Such bonding reduces stress, strengthens emotional well-being, and provides a solid support system for every member. Sharing family life means doing things together, like cleaning, cooking, listening to each other, talking, having dinner together, watching TV, enjoying music, or planning trips to create memories and strengthen family bonds. Regularly share loving words, give hugs, and listen with understanding. Offer support and step in to help when loved ones face difficulties, illness, or sadness in life. Create a positive atmosphere, spread love, share good things, and keep your family joyful. Caring and helping are not only responsibilities but also ways to nurture family bonds and make relationships stronger. In the workplace, caring for and supporting colleagues is a proactive way of sharing and helping each other. It creates a united work environment, boosts productivity, and improves overall results. This is shown through respect, active listening, constructive feedback, and maintaining a polite, professional attitude, all of which enhance personal credibility. Be willing to share the workload when colleagues are overwhelmed, especially new employees or those handling urgent projects. Be ready to share knowledge, skills, and experience. Choose collaboration over competition, and offer solutions when working together to solve problems. Listen sincerely, show interest in your colleagues' preferences, and respect their differences. Greet them, check in on their well-being, and give constructive, honest feedback in a spirit of support, while avoiding gossip or talking behind their backs. Always keep a friendly, humble, polite, and cheerful attitude. Respect shared spaces and time, and remember that helping colleagues is also helping yourself. Together, we can build a positive and healthy workplace culture. In society, caring and helping are acts of love and sharing, whether material or emotional, through donations, volunteering, or visiting those in need. This supports the poor, the vulnerable, the abandoned, and orphaned children. Such acts strengthen community bonds and create lasting happiness. In personal relationships, caring, helping, sharing, and supporting others through practical actions, from small daily gestures to emotional or psychological support, helps build social bonds and brings happiness. This is how we create strong relationships, showing empathy and social responsibility. Conclusion. The concept of neighbor is not limited or restricted, but includes anyone in need of love. The parable of the Good Samaritan calls us to practice compassion in concrete ways, rising above prejudice. This is an important step in the journey of love and forgiveness. Through the parable of the Good Samaritan, Jesus teaches us that love has no boundaries. Our neighbor is anyone who needs our compassion. When we live out compassion through concrete actions, we become more like Christ and share His love with the world. Lesson 5 comes to a close, but the journey continues with Lesson 6, where we will explore another story, the prodigal son, to discover God's unconditional love for each person. Lord, your love is pure and true, a boundless light that guides us through. The Good Samaritan shows the way. Compassion lived in deeds each day. Through mercy's call, our hearts are stirred to walk with Christ and share His word. Thank you for walking with me on this journey. One of Jesus' most famous teachings about unconditional love is the parable of the Good Samaritan. True love means helping those in need without seeking personal gain, without boundaries, and without discrimination, regardless of wealth or poverty, ethnicity, skin color, religion, nationality, political views, or social status. Love is shown through real actions, not just words. If this message has touched your heart, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can spread God's love and light together.